How's it going? David from Comic Book Investments. So 2022 was a crazy year for comics. We had a lot of comics dropping in price, and that also affected me, who is a comic book dealer. So this is going to be my 10 biggest losses of 2022. So let's see how bad they were. Again, I sell thousands and thousands of comics throughout the year, so these are basically 10 of them that were not very good for me. All right. First, we got Invincible #1, a 9.2. I paid $1,400 for it, ended up selling for $11.99, had $179 in fees. It was a total loss of $380, including those fees, and it was basically a loss of 27%. So, yeah, not very good on that one. I had it for about 78 days, so not very long. I think this book, if I can remember correctly, I sent it to CGC. This was during the time when, things just took longer to get back from CGC. And yeah, just one of those things. I held back quite a few Invincible #1s, waiting in between the first and the second season. And yeah, it just started going down. Nothing to it. All right, next we got Tales of Suspense 57. This is the first appearance of Hawkeye. I had a 4.0. I paid $10.57, ended up selling for $7.59 at $113 in fees. That was minus $411 total loss. I had about 182 days. That was down almost 40%. So this one, buying when, the show's coming out or whatever, and then after that, it just started tanking. Quite a bit. I believe it's somewhat leveled off a little better, but yeah, this one got hit hard. Next, we got Raphael #1, a 9.0. I paid $7.94 for it and sold it for $4.59. I had it for 452 days for like a year and a half, $68 in fees, a total loss of $403, down 51%. I can't tell you how many Raphael #1s I had at one point. I've been price adjusting them like crazy. This got a huge surge during, late 2020, early 2021, and Raphael #1s went crazy high, And they just started dropping a ton, and I had a whole bunch of them. And it was just one of those things where I didn't keep up with the price adjusting fast enough, and it's like this kept dropping. Next, we got Spawn Kills Everyone #1. This is the sketch variant. This is a 9.6. I paid $11.08 for it. Ended up selling for $7.99. Had 119 in fees, and I had it for 1,555 days. Wow, that's a long time. And total loss was $428, and it was almost 40% loss. So yeah, I had this one for a long time. I believe this one. How many days? That's over. How many years is that? 5 years? Wow. I think this one, what happened was I bought it hoping for a 9.8, and I didn't get that 9.8, and that just really kind of messed things up a lot. So next we got Werewolf by Night #32. I paid a little over $2,000 for this. I ended up selling for $18.59. Doesn't look like that big a loss, but then when you calculate in those fees, it's $278. I had it only for 6 days, and yeah, I ended up losing $462, down 23%. So I didn't have it that long, only 6 days, but I could see where the market was going. It was one of those things. I bought this book. It was raw. I was hoping to get a better grade than the grade I got. I was probably hoping for like an 8.0, got a 7.0. After really looking at it, I probably couldn't press it up, and it was already dropping. The show already came out. The numbers was going down and down and down. So I just said, even if I sent it back in and got that 7.5 or an 8.0, by the time I got it back in and all that kind of stuff, it would probably dropped even more and wouldn't be really worth it in the end. Next, we got Marvel Premiere #10. This is the first appearance of Schumer Gorath. I had an 8.5. I paid $8.14 for it. Ended up selling for about $400. It's about $60 in fees, and had it for about 63 days. That is down $475, which is about 60% loss. I had a bunch of these, and I was holding them back. Sometimes you win some, you lose some type of thing. So some of the books I've held back, like on my previous video where I did talking about ones I made a lot of money on, this one is the reverse. So I had a bunch of these and I was like, okay, I'm gonna time it with the movie and everything, like send them into CGC. They take way longer than I thought they were gonna take to get back. And also by the time they got back, the whole thing had changed. It used to be Schumer Gorath, but turns out the Marvel didn't have the rights to their own character. So they had to use Gigantos or something like that, Gigantus or something, some weird monster that they only used one time. So that really affected the book as well. And also then taking way too long to get back. I get it in, and it's just like, I also thought this was going to be a lot higher of a grade as well. And it came back at 8.5. And I was just at this point where I was like, well, there's nothing I can really do about it. Just got to get rid of it, because if not, it's just going to drop even more. Next, we got X-Men number 94 in a 7.5. I paid $13.43 for this. Ended up only selling for about $1,000. It was $149 in fees. That's down $493, which took about 63 days to sell, and it's down 37%. Surprisingly, this book got hit really, really hard. I was surprised. It went up a ton and then it went crashing down. Not as much as like a giant size X-Men number 1, something like that. And I'm really surprised because it's kind of a decent key, especially in the X-Men run. There's not too many keys up until you get to 94. So yeah, don't know what to say about this. I think this one, I did get it raw, and I was hoping to get a higher grade than it actually did. All right, next we got everyone's favorite book, Eternals number 1, and a 9.0. I paid $586 for it. Ended up selling it for $75. It took me about 298 days to sell. That was minus $522 at about $11 in fees. That really sucked. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, this book has dropped so much. I remember when I did one of those dropping videos and I thought like, oh, it should turn a corner. It should start leveling off. Nope, I was wrong. It just kept going down and down and down and down. Down, down, down. I think it's at where it was in like 2018 or something like that. I haven't really kept up with it too much recently, but this book is, my God, it has dropped a ton. It's one of those things. I had it for 300 days. Also had I had probably bought it way before then, and it took a while to get graded. Think about this, a year ago. So we were probably, somewhere around, I don't know, I can't remember when I sold this. So it was probably around mid 2021 when I actually got it in to sell it. And I remember I probably thought this book was like a 9.4 or 9.6, comes back a 9.0. It's not really worth sending it back in and waiting another 6 months or something like that to get it back in. And it's just like, whatever, I'll just, take the loss on it. I put it up hoping that, okay, the loss won't be that bad. And, it's like trying to catch a falling knife, right? It's just dropping so fast, but it's like, okay, I'll put it here. But by the time I put it there, the knife has already fallen way past that price point. And just trying to keep up with it pricing wise, it just dropped further and further. It's like, oh, okay, I'll put it up for like 300. Okay, by the time I put it for 300, it's like, oh, the next sale is 275. So now my 300 is already too high, even though it might have been okay at the time. And then, okay, then all of a sudden, it's dropping more, and it's like the last sale was like 250. Okay, I'll put it like 250. By the time I put it at 250, the next sale is like 225, and it's just like one of those cycles that continue because this book is dropping so fast, so rapidly. It's like every single week it's hitting an all-time low. So it's like you can never really catch up with this book. Finally, I saw it. It looks like it's settled down around here, $75 for a 9.0. So there was a bunch of bad things happen. It didn't get the grade I wanted. It takes too long to get back because this is in that price range where it takes forever to get back from CGC. So never got it back in CGC in time. And then it was falling so fast that my price adjusting wasn't keeping up with it. And again, I have thousands and thousands of books. So it's not like every day I'm just checking, what is Eternals number 1 at a 9.0 going for? Oh, okay, let me go and price adjust that. I can't, I do price adjusting, but it's like impossible to keep up with it on like a daily basis with something like this. All right, next we got Amazing Spider-Man 800. This is the remastered variant at a 9.6. I paid $759 for it. Ended up selling for $229. That's down 74%. It took me about 900 days, so almost 3 years to sell. and fees were 34, and is a total loss of $554. So I had two of these books. Both of them I sent in hoping to get 9.8s. Both came back 9.6s. Sucks. But it wouldn't really made that much of a difference. I mean, I had this thing for almost 3 years. It was one of those things, a lesson learned. Buying new books, modern books, you get on the FOMO and then it just starts dropping. And I remember, I think this book was selling for like $2,000 or something like that in a 9.8. So I get this book. I think it could be a 9.8. Paid, at the time, it was a fine price if it would have came back a 9.8. Doesn't get the 9.8. Then it's just like, okay, I got a 9.6. And I'm thinking in my mind, okay, well, this, it's like, what's a remaster? It was like 1 of 1,000 or something like that. 1 of 200. I don't remember anymore. Maybe it's like 250 or something. Like a ratio variant. So I was like, oh, it's hard to get, all this kind of stuff. But the thing is, a lot of these modern books and these variant covers, I've said millions and millions of times, sometimes their peak price is as soon as they come out of the gate, when their FOMO is at its peak. Once in a great while, probably like 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000 times, will it surpass its initial price. And like a year from now, it'll be worth more than it was a year previous, and so on and so forth. But yeah, now these books are pretty much not worth barely anything. And even in a 9.8, 9.6, I mean, I just saw one in a 9.6 go for $190. So I think I sold this earlier in 2022. So yeah, big loss there. But now on to our number one. At number one, my biggest loss, we have Fantastic Four 48 in a 3.0. I paid $18.27 for it. Ended up selling it for $11.39. Had it for 482 days. Fees were $170. That is a total loss of $858, down 47%. Can't honestly know what went wrong with this book. I don't know if I got this in like a collection of stuff, because around that time I did get a collection of stuff, and I did kind of hold it back a little bit, and then thinking it would go up a little bit. I'm thinking that's this one, because I've had a lot of Fantasy 448s in a 3.0, and that was another problem. Is I probably still have some now. I have a lot of Fantasy 448s, and maybe this one was priced too high to begin with. As you can see, it was about a year and a half old, and I probably got it before that. So I probably bought it at like peak time, not knowing it was peak time, but I probably bought it at peak time. So then I listed it a little higher than what I paid for, and then as time goes on, it just drops, price adjusting, not keeping up with it, so on and so forth, blah, 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 down, down, down. Yeah, just one of those things. And the thing that sucks is, unlike, the Eternals, because I have to sell this for so much, right? I paid 18, sold it for 11. The fees are a lot more. So now you have higher fees. So that really does suck. Now, if you notice in my last video, when I had my biggest gains of the year, a lot of those were sold through my website. So I save on all those fees, eBay or Comic Link or wherever you sell it through, Heritage, stuff like that. They all come with fees, and through my website, it's free. So, I mean, these fees do add up. They eat into your profitability. This ate almost $200 in fees. Generally speaking, overall, you win some, you lose some. It's just the name of the game. You're always going to have losses. You're going to have wins. I will tell you this, that 2022 had the most losses I've ever had. That was just because everything was dropping so much. And, I have to buy them. If someone comes to me and goes, hey, I have this book I want to sell to you. And they're like, oh, the last one sold for $2,000, whatever book it is. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to say that's fair market value. I'm going to say fair market value because I believe the market's going down, but I have no proof other than everything's going up. And then, I have to give my percentage based off of that, of how much I'm going to pay for the book. And I'll usually try to give, like, I think the book is worth $2,000 and I'll give you X price for it, which is a percentage based off of it. And that my percentage is based off of, it could be anywhere from, as low as 50%, all the way up to 80% of fair market value. It really depends on the book itself. I'm not going to pay a ton for a book that's going to sit for 10 years waiting for the right buyer. Or if it's a book that's super risky, like a modern book that's like, it could go like this, I'm not going to pay a bunch for those because it's too risky. But so I can't go to this person and say like, well, I know the last couple sales were $2,000, but I really think the actual fair market value is $1,500. So I'm going to pay you based off of $1,500. You can't do that. So I have to, whatever the market is, I have to buy it at that price. So if the price is high at the time, I get it in. Takes me, maybe I have to submit the book. Maybe I don't have to submit the book. Then I price it too high. Don't keep up with the, price adjusting. And that's basically my fault. 2023, I've had a lot of losses. It's only like a weekend, and I've had a lot of losses, but those are from me buying them in 2021, 2022, and they just dropped. So I suspect a lot of my books are going to have losses that are older. If I bought them more recently, I suspect they should be fine. Well, that'll be it. Let me know how your guys' year was, and have a good day.